abandoned Twitter for blue sky, follow me. Its drama fueled by hatred and ignorance somehow still found its way into my social media atmosphere. And usually I ignore this kind of stuff unless it really triggers me, but I've been planning on speaking on this topic for a while, and seeing that ignorance has been rebranding itself so much lately, especially this year, I decided it would be a good idea to share my thoughts, experience, and opinion on the matter. So here we are. Welcome to my channel. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, and enjoy the video. Heads up, if you don't appreciate videos that discuss race and racial social issues from Black girl perspective, this is your warning to click off now. Peace. So an artist named Lynn uniquely illustrated in her art style two of the main characters, Okarone and Momo, from you guys' favorite shonen dandadan, an anime you guys love and I tolerate. Check out my videos, link in the description. Taking a look at this art, Okarone has dark skin and afro-textured hair, and Momo is tan. Now, I personally love art like this, and I think this piece is really nice. But surprising to no one, this specific depiction of these animated characters has caused the artist backlash and an uproar of crying, screaming, and throwing up. So, anti-blackness is very potent and rampant. It is a global illness that you can find all over the world and within every fandom, unfortunately. There are a lot of people who get triggered by Black representation and artistic interpretation. And instead of just ignoring it like a decent person would, they feel empowered to bully, cry, and make false equivalences to justify and express their hatred. And unfortunately, we see a lot of that in that toxic cesspool, also known as Twitter. Despite its cultural racism, colorism, featureism, texturism, and exclusion towards Black people, anime has sustained a large Black fan base. And this isn't anything new. I personally have been a fan of anime since I was 5 years old. I feel like collectively we love the art and good storytelling, and anime, as the kids say, is peak cinema. What has always stuck out to me since I was a little girl was that none of the characters looked like me. And it kind of confused me because although anime is Japanese animation and the characters had Japanese names, 11 times out of 10 the characters look white. And they would have pink, blue, and very colorful hair. So it was always weird to me how pink hair is normal, but dark skin and afro-textured hair, essentially blackness, was out of bounds. And of course, whenever I would point this out, the response I would receive would be, well, it's Japanese, they don't have to include your image if they don't want to. Which is fine, fair enough. As a Black girl, the exclusion of my image was completely normalized, I was used to it. However, it didn't stop me from noticing how whiteness was overwhelmingly included. There were several anime characters that either resembled white phenotype or were actually of European descent. Take, for example, my personal top 2 favorite anime ever, Attack on Titan and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Also, their inclusion was never met with controversy, which is typically what I see when characters who look like me are dropped into different anime. It just didn't seem fair. Especially because Black anime fandom isn't anything new. We've been into anime. We were watching Toonami after school, and those Frankenstein episodes on YouTube, part 7 out of 11 in 480p, as well as the music videos, and getting manga in the library, and Suncoast too. Yet, due to racism, there's always a justification needed for why we wanted to see ourselves in the media we enjoyed. Everyone, no matter who you are, wants representation. It's human nature, and a sign of healthy self-esteem. And yeah, since I've gotten older and anime has become more mainstream, there has been more inclusion of Black and Blackish anime characters, more so for males, which in a sense is progression, but it is very minuscule compared to the non-Black representation even now. And back in the day, it was practically non-existent, which is why most of us were identifying with aliens, which is sad. And please don't get me started on the negative portrayals of Black people in anime. My natural instinct of always identifying lack of representation towards my phenotype truly manifested when I was very young, and a big part of it was because of anime. And Disney too, honestly. Outside of the Rodgers and Hammerstein's live-action Cinderella starring Brandy, Whitney Houston, and Whoopi Goldberg, which, side note, is one of my favorite movies and the epitome of positive Black girl representation, I didn't see a classic Disney princess who looked like me until I was 18 years old. And let's be real, she was more green than she was Black. Watch my overanalyzing Disney's first screen princess video for more feelings on that, linked below. If you're a returning subby of mine, you know that I have a subsector within my channel where I discuss representation as well as its causes and effects, as it pertains to Black girls and women specifically. Check out my Black girl representation playlist, link in the description. But yeah, I've always been sensitive to my lack of representation, specifically positive and feminine imagery. And being that I am a dark-skinned, unambiguous Black girl with healthy self-esteem, it makes complete sense that I would. Which is why I have always deeply appreciated and been a fan of artists who skillfully depict characters as Black. It's a way of giving an underrepresented community inclusion, plus it's a cool showcase of talent and it's fun. Since Black people have such an exotic and unique phenotype, from our facial features to our afro, thick, coily, or curly textured hair, illustrating anime characters in our style is so eye-catching and beautiful. You can also see this variety of creativity in the way we cosplay. Although we get so much pushback for cosplaying non-Black characters, there's no denying how much our natural style and uniqueness brings to the cosplay community. When we incorporate our natural features, such as our hair and cultural fashion, it puts such a cool twist on the characters. Historically and presently, the Black community have been targets of cultural appropriation. Cultural appropriation is the act of adopting elements of one culture, such as symbols, practices, clothing, language, or traditions, by individuals or groups from another culture, often without understanding, respect, or acknowledgement of its original meaning or significance. This typically occurs when a dominant culture takes elements from a marginalized or minority culture. Speaking from my community specifically, which is extremely marginalized and oppressed over here in the US of A, we often see this with our hairstyles, music, fashion, and language. And because we have been so vocal about our injustice and calling people out for it, there's a group of hateful, ignorant people who like to make false equivalences and say that our artistic interpretations of non-Black fictional characters is also cultural appropriation. Blackwashing, a crazy, ignorant, Black-specific reverse of the term whitewashing, created to push back against the inclusion of Black people. Like reverse racism, blackwashing is nothing more than a false equivalence used to silence Black people who have pointed out when parts of our culture have been toned down or twisted into a general version so that it cannot be credited back to us. We also see this in aspects of colorism and featureism, when figures who are intended to represent or portray Blackness have their Black features diluted. We see this term blackwashing anytime there is Black representation present, perpetuating the idea that whiteness or non-Blackness is the default, and anything that includes Blackness is ultimately blackwashing. It is a way to normalize excluding Black features and ultimately Black people from any and everything, especially media representation. And that's the term I see thrown around most with this dandadan fan art situation. But I'm here to educate you that no, Black fan art is not cultural appropriation, and the term blackwashing is no more than racism. Even though I'm aware that most people are being intentionally, intellectually dishonest about this, as it pertains to anime and other fictional characters, I'll elaborate. There are 3 consequences of cultural appropriation, which are often criticized because of the true harm it can cause. One is exploiting. Cultural appropriation can exploit or commodify cultural traditions for personal or commercial gain. If someone redrew the whole dandadan manga and published it using Black characters while simultaneously making fun of the yokai themes, that would be extreme and you may have an argument there, but obviously that's not what's going on. All kinds of people create fan art. Fan art is an acknowledgement to the original art and artists. If anything, it's a way of showing love to the original. Black fan art is no different. When Black artists illustrate anime characters with their own style and likeness, it is a form of self-insert and artistic expression. It doesn't exploit Japanese culture nor take away from it. To pretend to be threatened by Black art is a racism issue. If you see Black inclusion this way, that just means you're racist towards Black people. Anime has introduced fans to Japanese culture and increased interest in their country and people. There are many of us who've traveled or plan to travel to Japan to visit and experience their culture due to the art of anime. And there are those who just appreciate the art and like to watch TV shows, read the manga, or cosplay. To demonize our interests, as if us being a fan and creating our own spaces where we can create art, discuss, and unite, all while trying to avoid being told, Hinata isn't Black. To pretend that that is the equivalent of exploiting is very evil and very racist. Secondly, another consequence of true cultural appropriation is the perpetuating of stereotypes or misunderstandings about a marginalized culture. It is true that the Black community is recognized for its artistic influence. Many different cultures like to take away from our unique artistic expression and often do it in a degrading or mocking kind of way. When people paint their faces black, put their hair in braids, and try to act like gangsters or animals while under the guise of rap or hip hop, that is how you perpetuate stereotypes and misunderstandings. And we often see this in Asian culture, K-pop. Fan art illustrating anime characters with Black features isn't mocking Japanese people, nor is it perpetuating their stereotypes. You may be offended by seeing fictional characters in a style that doesn't represent you, but there's nothing truly wrong with that. It is harmless. Often people redraw characters in different styles, and it's never a problem until it's Black people drawing it in their style and incorporating their features, which is evidence that the problem is your commitment to ignorance and hatred, not the art itself. And lastly, cultural appropriation ignores power imbalances, as the dominant group may profit from or belittle something that holds deep cultural meaning. The Black community is no way a dominant group in the anime sector nor Japan. We don't have any power over their culture. We can only control our participation and celebration of it. Black fandom doesn't take away profit from anime. If anything, our participation in it increases the anime fan base, which in turn increases the monetary support of a Japanese product. Black culture is so influential, and we really do be giving out free promotion in the way we platform different fandoms that don't even like to include us nor our likeness. I mean, take DreamCon, a whole event that centers and celebrates anime. No power imbalance, just pure support. Anime is a Japanese genre of animation. Black people working in this industry or creating fan art from this genre is not taking over nor repurposing it. I really don't see how they don't pull their arm out of socket every time with this racist reach. There are so many non-Black artists who create music from rap, hip-hop, blues, jazz, rhythm and blues, gospel, and rock and roll. Fun fact, even techno, country, and ragtime music incorporates elements from African American music genres. And they're never accused of cultural appropriation by the masses, even when guilty. As a matter of fact, the opening theme song of the Dandadan anime takes influence from Black American culture. Jersey Club music is a fast-paced, hip-hop influenced subgenre of EDM and dance music that originated in New Jersey, created by modern Black Americans. Creepy Nuts, the artist and Japanese hip-hop duo who wrote the Dandadan intro song, even mentioned being influenced from Jersey artists. And we can hear how they were influenced by the Jersey Club sound with Otanoke, as well as another hit anime intro song of theirs, Bling Bang Bang Born. There were so many bootleg remixes out there. I thought it was really radical, Matsunaga says of the style, noting they were impressed by young Jersey artists such as Bandman Rail in particular. The melody and the rap, they don't quite fit together. They're imbalanced, but in a really interesting way. And the way they use samples is so catchy. It's fast too. I love high BPM music. We thought it was a good match for Creepy Nuts. So even here, through Dandadan's very own theme song is an example of Japanese culture essentially profiting from Black American culture. And yet, the masses aren't ringing the cultural appropriation alarm like they did over the Black fan edit. And although many people like to minimalize Black American plight and oppression by claiming the collective has a victim complex, even when certain tragedies are obviously completely legitimate, in this specific case, I haven't heard anyone crying about it. Instead, Black anime fans are celebrating it. Y'all know I have thoughts about the show, but even I admitted that I loved the theme song, and it was a major appeal of the anime for me. And you know, side note, there's something I noticed about myself while I was making my 2024 K-pop playlist video. I like a lot of non-American tracks that obviously take influence from Black American sound, only when it's done respectfully, of course. And this is actually very common. If you've watched my video currently titled There's Something About JYP's Vicha I Can't Help But Notice, which is essentially a long video essay about my feelings and opinions being a Black K-pop fan, you'll know that JYP, the mastermind behind huge and successful groups like Stray Kids, ITZY, GOT7, 2PM, NMIXX, Miss A, Wonder Girls, and my #1 favorite K-pop group of all time, Twice, had this to say about his experience with Black American music.
When I lived in America from 7 to 9, I was actually in New York. I fell in love with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, to Smokey and Robinson, to all these Black soul artists just mesmerized me. That's how it all started for me. That was music to me. That's the core and foundation of JYP music.
In addition, it's like pulling teeth for the Black community to receive positive acknowledgement for the contributions to everything we create. And when you really think about it, it's crazy how much this can be applied to. For example, so much of AAVE, African American Vernacular English, has been rebranded as Gen Z slang. And we really don't even be gatekeeping like that. Well, not as much as we should, in my opinion. But those are thoughts for another video, another day. Inclusion isn't reciprocal when it comes to the Black community in so many spaces. And that's why I believe we have this false equivalence of people claiming we are blackwashing instead of what it really is, which is contributing and supporting. So yeah, the intention to demonize Black artistic expression and Black fandom just stems from anti-Blackness and racism. The false equivalences of creating our own inclusion in a fandom to cultural appropriation, a plight so commonly and obviously associated with Black culture and Black people, stems from hatred and commitment to ignorance. And I see how these same people will try to rage bait by drawing a seasonless Black girl character as a way to provoke or antagonize a group which already suffers from lack of representation. And I'm just here to let you know, we don't care. They can claim they're doing it as their form of artistic expression, but deep down, we can see that they're only doing it to be cruel and wicked. The same way they put box braids in their hair and pretend they got the idea from Vikings instead of that Black girl on Pinterest, we are used to the nonsense and we know what it is. So please take that intentional dishonesty and rage bait somewhere else. It's actually really weird and very telling when people feel the need to whitewash Black characters when they aren't lacking in representation. And I know the response to this argument is, well, if you can do it, we can do it too. And yeah, sure, you can do whatever you want. But let's be honest, the reasons for doing it are very different. Black fan edits exist mostly due to lack of representation. And if your response is to intentionally whitewash one of the very few Black characters because you don't like seeing them have little representation, or you don't like seeing them create representation for themselves, congratulations, you've got issues. Anime is very inclusive towards white imagery. There are so many white characters in anime in addition to most of the Japanese characters having white phenotype. When they go out of their way to make Nessa white or cry about how T'Challa, Black Panther, who is a culturally African character whose blackness is a huge part of his story and character, should be played by a white actor in a live action remake, all because the Little Mermaid remake was played by a light-skinned Black girl, and a Viking, which is an occupation, not a race, in the How to Train Your Dragon remake, is being played by a white girl with one Black grandpa, maybe. The temper tantrum I see when media representation is made diverse by groups of people who hold the majority of representation everywhere, as well as those who aren't included in the group but like to align themselves with that anyway, just doesn't make sense to me. The outrage, it proves that they are intentionally ignoring the imbalance of representation and just want to be cruel and greedy. And I hate the argument, well, they just need to create their own original stories. Okay, when are you going to say that about Spider-Man or Superman, who have been played 1,000,010 times? And this may be delulu of me, but I like to think that it's not the majority, but a loud minority who likes to make this a problem when it's not. But I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. They can't possibly feel threatened, especially when the majority has whitewashed some of the biggest historical figures of all time. Also, keep in mind, 11 times out of 10, it's not the people of color casting themselves in these roles. These franchises like to profit from diversity, and greedy or not, people like me appreciate seeing a change towards progression and equality, especially in media representation, which has a huge effect on the people who consume it. It's not a bad thing. I'm so excited for the new Harry Potter series, and I'm a millennial. No one can replace the original movie or cast, but I would love to see a new interpretation of the books, hopefully including a lot that was in the books and left out of the movies, especially with the opportunity of seeing how amazing the magic can be illustrated through new and advanced technology in film. And if it flops, well, I blame capitalism. And I know I've been going off script for a minute now, but I like remakes. As we grow as a society and technology develops, I think well-written stories deserve to live on and reach new people through new and advanced mediums and writing, like Wicked, which I have thoughts, but again, another video, another day. Anyways, in conclusion, Black fan art is amazing, and hatred does not discredit it. There are so many people that see that they are underrepresented and truly value the art artists like Lynn create. These artists are so talented and tremendously appreciated. I just want to say thank you for all that you do. Also, I'm super disappointed in all the Black profile pics who decided to side with racism against their own interests. I don't know what you weirdos get out of that if you're actually Black, but buy some self-esteem. Also, fun fact, the English voice actor of Okarun is a Black guy, AJ Beckles. And I think for a minute he actually made the art that I'm referencing his profile pic, which is an amazing shout out. Anyways, those have been my thoughts from my perspective. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, keep it cute. Check out my other dandadan videos. I still haven't fallen in love with this anime. It just feels immature and gross, but I'm gonna keep watching because I don't want to miss out, and I like to be knowledgeable when I talk my smack. If you're wondering what anime I'm really into right now, it's the Yakuza Fiance. I finished Morai in Love and I loved it. I fell off of Dragon Ball Daima, as expected. Orb has me feeling conflicted. It's really good, but it makes me really sad. And I think I'm gonna do a video on the 365 marriage anime because it can be a little boring, but the good episodes are really good. And I do want to tell you guys about some K-drama I've been watching this year, hopefully before the year is out. And don't worry, I've been taking notes, and I recognize that you guys seem to really like my Black Girl Representation series. So just so you know, I am preparing some super heavy content to share with you guys for that playlist as well. And I think you'll really like it, so stay tuned. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like the video, share, comment, and subscribe. Take a look at the other videos I mentioned as well as the playlist. All the links will be in the description, and I will see you guys later. Bye.